Your biggest day for me is my trip.
Oh, yeah.
Me too. Yeah. I think we should reverse this. Retired when you can do something, and then when you can't do you agree with me? That's despicable.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of hearings, so actually maybe want to know where this is, town council, so this thing can go on for a while. Because, Harry and Katrina,
What did he do with it? Tell him he put it back on.
problem is that this is like, so we're going to tax that, to establish a ordinance. And then you've got all the action items that are town council, so it could be a late night.
Oh, big a shot.
If Bob Fisher still exists, he's gonna be going there at 11 o'clock.
No, but I mean, they got eye shackles, right? Sit in, you just chase them to.
Sure. So it's like, right now, it's more of a like.
Oh, yeah.
Better side of the, some ideas. So you're problems. No, there's people.
Alright, we're gonna get started. I'd like to call to order City of Cudahy Common Council meeting this Tuesday, January 20th, 2025 at 7 p.m., 5050 South Lake Drive, Cudahy, Wisconsin. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the community and posted in the appropriate places. Notice was also given to the news media that requested it, namely the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel and MySouthShoreNow.com.
Roll call, Alderperson Levy. Here. Alderperson Phillips.
Here.
Alderperson Haynes.
Here.
Alderperson LaFerski.
Here.
Alderperson St. Marie Belko.
Here.
Also present are various staff and department heads, as well as City Attorney Larson, City Administrator Larson.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Presentations, we have none. Public hearings, we have none. Public comment, agenda only. Comments will be restricted to 3 minutes per speaker. Cards were required to be filled out prior to call to order of the meeting. You will be called up in order in which I received the cards. The first individual to speak is Megan Stankowitz. Please come on up, state your name and address for the record. There's also a notepad there to list the name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
I'm Megan Stankowitz, 3460 East Van Norman Avenue. Good evening, Mayor Jankowski and members of the Common Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My husband and I purchased our first home in Cudahy in 2023, and soon after we welcomed our son. We chose Cudahy intentionally. We are proud to be part of this community, proud to invest here, and proud to raise our family here. That is exactly why I feel a responsibility to speak up when I am concerned about the direction our city is taking. I am deeply concerned about the city's continued reliance on tax and fee increases as a primary response to budget challenges. Families in Cudahy are already stretched thin by rising costs for housing, groceries, childcare, and transportation. For many residents, especially seniors on fixed incomes and young families on strict budgets, there is no such thing as a small increase. Every dollar matters. Time and again, residents are presented with tax and fee increases before we are shown clear, transparent evidence that all other options have been thoroughly explored. The previously proposed wheel tax is a perfect example. Residents spoke clearly and overwhelmingly against it, and the council ultimately voted to remove it. That outcome showed us that resident voices still matter, and I thank the members who listened. But the fact that proposal and this one advanced reflects a troubling pattern. Rising taxes and fees has become the go-to response instead of a last resort. As a constituent, I expect my representatives to push harder for alternatives, to challenge assumptions, and to advocate more visibly for residents before supporting measures that increase our financial burden. Right now, I do not feel that level of advocacy. Beyond the budget itself, there's a serious leadership and communication issue. The way the mayor engages with residents on social media is not productive. Arguing with constituents in comment sections, responding defensively, and offering excuses instead of clear data and explanations does not inspire confidence. Transparency, professionalism, and respect are not optional. They are foundational to public trust. Raising taxes and fees may be the easiest option, but it is not the most responsible one. It discourages new families from settling here, strains those who already live here, and sends the message that the city lacks discipline and creativity in managing its finances. My family chose Cudahy because we believe in this community, we want to stay here, and we want to raise our son here. That depends on leadership that listens to residents, communicates respectfully, plans responsibly, and does the hard work before asking families to pay more. I urge this council to reject further tax and fee increases, demand stronger financial planning, and recommit to transparency and respect in how you engage with the people you serve. I am advocating in favor for option 2 budget amendment and urging the council to start planning now for a stronger 2027 budget. Let us use the next year to do this work correctly, identify efficiencies, control spending, and build a sustainable budget so residents are not repeatedly asked to pay more. Thank you for your time.
Please state your name and address for the record as well as noted on the notepad. You will have 3 minutes to speak.
My name is Greg Witkowski. I live at 6210 South Indiana Avenue, and I'm here to oppose the wheel tax as much as I can. I have some ideas here that you guys probably never considered. I'm gonna go and talk about what I did a few months ago. Here we go. I'm gonna talk fast. Water utility, why are they sending out envelopes? They get thrown away for people on auto pay. Why don't you just email bills? You don't have to print the bills. You don't have to pay for the type print, print the forms, postage. It's big savings there. Require everybody in the water utility to be on auto pay. Once you do all of that, you can get rid of the water clerk because nobody's going to be coming in to pay their water bill anymore. That's about $100,000 in savings, just those 3 little items that I mentioned. Because the water clerk alone is a big savings. Why don't we follow? I have another. Here's where you can make some money. $200,000, maybe more. Why don't you follow South Milwaukee's idea? If you go out to their website right now, there's a position for code enforcement officer. Pays $72,000 a year. I did that job. I brought in $2 million for the city. I know that's a revenue generator. South Milwaukee thinks it's gonna bring in about $200K a year. If you hire 2 people, that's $400,000. I don't know if you thought about it, but I think you really should. There's 2 benefits to that. You bring in money, and the city looks good. What else? Also, I just spoke with the mayor, and there's, I guess there's vacancies in a lot of departments. Well, if they're not filled, that money isn't being spent, maybe a little bit on overtime, so that money can be used to pay for whatever the deficit is in this current budget at a rate of about $10,000 an employee. So that adds up too. So I probably got you about $300,000 right there. And I would like to, if if at all possible, put the wheel tax to a referendum. Let the people of the city decide. I mean, look at what happened with the school referendum last year. They voted to have it. They voted yes, and then it increased everybody's property taxes, so you might be surprised. Maybe the wheel tax will pass, maybe it would. I would put it on a referendum, that way you guys are letting the people make their own decision. Also, let me see here. I'd like to talk about, apparently you're gonna try to get rid of some of the boards or something like that. I've been on the Rules, Laws, and Licensing Committee for over 20 years. That's more than Michelle, Robert, the mayor, who else is on there? Butch, you add up all your time there. I have more than 20 years total, and you guys can't even come close to that. The Rules, Laws, and Licensing Commission serves a really good purpose. You can get into a lot of legal trouble if you don't make the right decision. I believe that you can, am I going over? Oh, okay. All right, so I respectfully ask, do not vote yes for the wheel tax, put it to a referendum. Thank you.
Jim Buzz? And please state your name and address for the record and note it on the notepad for me as well.
Okay, Jim Buss, 6172 South Tarbert Court. I'm here to speak against the option that would include the wheel tax. I'm kind of surprised that we all have to be here again, because back in November, I thought we had sent a pretty clear message that the community doesn't want a wheel tax. But I'm not going to say that we should advocate and choose option B. What I'm going to advocate and say is I think that there might be option C or option D or more. What I'm going to ask is that not only our mayor and our administration, but that in crafting this budget, that there's some transparency. I think that's really lacking. It's not a choice between having 4th of July celebration and having wheel tax. It's not a choice between patching potholes and having wheel tax. Since the budget was crafted back in September, I believe there was one finance committee meeting back in September. I don't think there's been one since then. During that time, I believe that the original budget, there's a $600,000 hole that this wheel tax is trying to fill. The original budget was crafted with a 7% increase in our spend for employee health care. The actual budget has come in with a decrease. There's probably a lot of money there, maybe a couple $100,000. Where did that money go? The other thing is, do we really need a permanent tax to address the short-term problem? I've done a lot of reading, seeing as how somebody told me I should read more about this stuff. And it turns out in 2024, according to Baker Tilly, we ran a $2.1 million surplus in the city. I believe the audit for 2025, which is being worked on, may show another surplus, and we've got $7 million in reserve. Why don't we spend a little bit of that so that we don't have to impose a wheel tax as well, because you all promised that we're going to be pursuing cost-saving measures in 2027 and beyond, like combining the health department with other departments, combining the dispatch services with other areas to save a lot of money. Why impose a new tax that we probably won't need anyway? So please, do not approve a wheel tax. Please listen to your citizens. Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Jenny Honer. Please state your name and address for the record as well as noted on the notepad.
Jenny Hunter, 6069 South Delaware Avenue. I have been asked to read a statement from another District 4 citizen who could not be here. Dear Mayor and members of the Common Council, I am writing to formally express my concern regarding the reappearance of the proposed right-of-way fee being added to the City of Cudahy fee schedule in the manner which this proposal has been handled. Because of observant residents, the original proposal was uncovered and met with significant public opposition at a regular council meeting. At that time, the council voted to table that portion of the proposal, and statements made during that meeting left many residents with the clear impression that the fee was effectively dead and that alternative solutions would be explored. The proposal as presented would impose an annual $50 per vehicle fee estimated to raise approximately $600,000 and earmarked for transportation-related costs. This fee would be added on top of the existing state and county registration fees and would have made Cudahy the highest total vehicle fee municipality in the state, despite being a relatively small community. Despite the proposal being tabled, the Common Council voted in December to approve the 2026 budget, even though it was dependent on the approval of this right-of-way fee and the revenue it would generate. When the agenda for the January 20th meeting was posted, it once again included items related to adding this fee to the city fee schedule. When residents questioned what alternatives had been explored, the mayor directed the community to a January 20th memorandum from the city administrator. That memorandum presented only two options: pass the new fee or do not pass it and face potential cuts to the police department, administrative positions, and the elimination of the city's 4th of July celebration. These were broad, non-specific consequences rather than detailed, transparent budget options. Additionally, the mayor has publicly stated that the budget shortfall exceeds $1.1 million. This raises serious concerns as the proposed fee would not fully close that gap and suggests that future increases may be anticipated. Taken together, this sequence of events gives the strong impression that this proposal was intended to move forward quietly rather than through transparent, proactive engagement with residents. City leadership should have been out front of a looming budget shortfall by clearly notifying residents and actively soliciting their input on how to best move forward, whether through service reductions, operational changes, or revenue increases. Typically, when a budget comes up short, the first step should be a thorough examination of expenses and efficiencies, not immediately turning into additional taxes and fees. I'm also deeply concerned about how this fee is being characterized in a way that appears designed to avoid Wisconsin state statutes requiring a referendum for a wheel tax. As elected officials, I expect conduct above reproach in city dealings. I expect decisions to be made in the best interest of residents, not based on personal opinions or preferences. Property taxes and fees have already increased significantly in recent years and are approaching levels that many residents find unsustainable. This frustration is compounded by the current state of our community, limited economic development, numerous empty downtown buildings, no grocery store, or major retail outlets.
Ms. Horner, you've exceeded the 3 minutes.
Okay.
Next speaker, Skip Dietzick. Please state your name and address for the record, as well as noted on the notepad.
I would like to start with a quote from a famous coach in Wisconsin. Probably all know him. His name is Vince Lombardi. The quote is, "The measure of who we are is what we do with what we have." I believe you don't have the support of the Cudahy citizens when it comes to the wheel tax or the elimination or reduction of the committees. I will live with what we have. That means reducing the city items in the short term to allow you to figure out an equitable city budget in the long term for the health and well-being of the citizens. Work with what you have and figure it out. Taxation, in this instance, is a lazy man's way to govern.
Next speaker, Robert Goss. Please state your name and address for the record as well as on the notepad.
Good evening, my name is Robert Goss, 3745 East Henry Ave. And I've already heard a couple of citizens argue for this, but I would implore our aldermen to act on behalf of the people that you're representing and vote the way they want you to, not the way the administration wants you to, okay? I ask that you reject the wheel tax, send it to the citizens for a referendum if necessary. After a line-by-line budget review is done with monthly finance meetings, it's apparent that this all just came upon you. There's no way you could have researched all this. There's no way a line-by-line item was done. I looked at it line by line. I found numerous things that could be addressed and should be addressed. The city administration, the clerk treasurer, the mayor, they knew after failing to pass the wheel tax, and they waited almost 2 months before this meeting. They didn't have any additional meetings, they didn't have any discussions with the citizens, or even at the time to say, look, there's not enough. We need more money or we need to save something. Let's go back to the drawing board. No, they did nothing, okay? I don't know if they were in communication with you aldermen, but they certainly weren't in communication with us. I mean, 6 weeks without anything from the city is ridiculous, especially at a time like this. And of course you're having this meeting right before everybody's gonna get their water bill, where it's gonna show the new fees on there. How convenient for you to vote on this today until after they get this double whammy of a tax. On November 15th, we met with an alderman. The mayor joined us. He stated he would request to Kelly for her budget, as the mayor claims it's not his budget. No raises would be included. The new budget actually shows that everybody got at least a minimum 2.91% raise and as high as 9.18%, okay? There was also no raise for employee contributions to increase the health care. Also, the mayor stated he would have no budget for the 4th of July, and he would seek monies from the businesses in the community to support that. Lo and behold, $40,000 is on the budget. And then he's threatening people with this wheel tax money that he won't have money for a parade. Well, it's not meant for a parade, it's meant to repair the roads, okay?
Mr. Goss, you've exceeded the 3 minutes.
That's okay. He also stated that only the garbage cart fee would be increased $20 at that meeting, and they put an additional $20 for the recycling fee. It was never addressed. Thank you.
record as well as noted on the notepad.
Diana Zelinski, 4572 South Packard Avenue. We're here tonight because we, your constituents, do not want the wheel tax. You know this. We told you before and you did not listen. None of you, I should say a few of you did, but most of you didn't. You're supposed to be working for us, the residents who elected you to represent us. The people have spoken and you were told to re-examine the budget, adjust, cut, and make difficult decisions to balance the budget. As someone had said just now, nobody did. You voted to do just that, and yet you did not. Is it just laziness that you didn't take the time to do it properly because the holidays were on you and you didn't want to bother? Or there's some ulterior motive that you have for ignoring the electorate and to continue to push a tax that citizens clearly do not want and many cannot afford? There are unanswered expenses shown in your budget that could be changed. I've looked at it. I've looked at the checkbook registers. One major expense goes to the Community Development Authority. You've increased the budget for the CDA by $381,218, giving them a surplus of $1,618,879. Why? What are they doing with the money? Nobody wants to answer that question. They are obviously not fulfilling their purpose of promoting Cudahy or selling our vacant lands at market value, unless you can call giving away those lands to real estate developers for $1 or for far lesser amounts than they are actually worth. Then they're spot on. Using an interfund transfer, if you've already passed the budget, would increase our road and equipment account to $1,390,478. You say the wheel tax would bring $805,381, which would mean that based on the state of Wisconsin records, since Cudahy has 11,944 registered vehicles, we would end up being charged $68 per vehicle. If the $50 per vehicle charge is approved at 11,944 vehicles, we'd get $597,200. Transferring the money from the CDA to the road account would more than cover the cost of repairs without any additional tax. Even a partial transfer would help to eliminate the need for the tax. The city spends more on flower pots, flags, and decorations than they do to repair our roads and our infrastructure. If you're threatening not to fund the 4th of July event that's on you, because there are plenty of expenses in your budget and the city checkbook that can be cut. I know, because I took the time the last 4 days to really look at what you put out there. If I can spot these possibilities, then your so-called trained committee members should be able to do so if they actually tried. It's obvious that something unusual is going on here, either because of ignorance, laziness, complacency, or something else. I know, I know you won't respond, but this gives the audience something to think about.
Next speaker, Bruce Triptick. Please state your name and address for the record as well as on the notepad.
Bruce Shupnick, 3343 East Van Norman. From 2001 to 2004, I was the first district alderman. From 2005 through 2017, I was the city accountant / finance director. I retired in 17 at the age of, well, 10 days short of my 68th birthday. So, Mr. Mayor, what is the number here? Is it 805,000? Are we asking for 600,000? And then charging $50, 68? Can you verify that, or at least give me some idea where the numbers are?
Sir, this is public comment. Being a former alderman, you know that we're not really allowed to respond to that.
You can give me an A for try and for effort though, right?
That's true.
Thank you.
Well, why not? It's on the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
That's true.
It's an agenda item.
You can answer a simple question.
It's an agenda item.
Can we have a thing from the city attorney? This is part of my 3 minutes?
Our rules are stated on the agenda. And the
Minimal
rules
discourse.
allow for
Minimal.
comments from the public.
Minimal discourse is allowed.
That is correct.
Okay, when I was looking at for my agenda on the internet, the city website, I went back and I noticed a lack of finance meetings between August and December. Why is that? When I was on the board as, First District Alderman, during that time, we had 2 finance meetings a month. I mean, this is a hot issue. Why wasn't there finance meetings? And to give these people all this packet of information 4 days ago and ask them to come up with a decision in 4 days, that's gonna touch everybody's life. I don't think that's very fair. So what I'm recommending is that, Alderman, you make a motion tonight to have a finance meeting on the first Tuesday on February. Invite all the managers over and we'll go over the line items, one by one. And find out what's needed and what's not, and why what certain things were budgeted. Also, in the 2014 audit, our auditor said 7.2 million unassigned is available for spending at the government's discretion. Well, you 5 are at the government discretion. I think that's a perfect alternative, is to tap that fund. I mean, you had it. I'm sorry, WTMJ, I really am apologize. But you know that gravity just catches up to me. Well, anyway, the bottom line is, thank you, Mayor. It was nice meeting you.
Our next speaker, Tom Schmidt. Please state your name and address for the record as well as noted on the notepad.
Wanted the name of my firstborn also?
Tom?
Number one, it's a shame that we can't spend 20 cents per copy, because I went to the library to get my agenda on Sunday, which was open because you're closed on Saturday and Sunday. I really don't have much else to say besides what these people have already talked about, because it's everything that I kind of like took my time and wrote notes. I called all of my aldermen over the weekend, and I'm sure they all know that. One I didn't get an answer from. Actually, it was my own. But I'd still like to know what we're gonna do when we lose $31,412.77 that's supposed to go to our revenue. And we turn around in another week and have a meeting at another facility for a school. I don't know if anybody else in this room knows that, but that thing is nothing but a cash cow. As far as our spending, we have a problem with spending. And I don't know how we're gonna get any of the money for a lift station, a DPW building, a fuel station. And according to the study that we had, we have a problem with this building that might be replaced also. And when they get down here after the public comment and we go to pay the bills, because we haven't had meetings, because everybody was having so much fun during the holidays, but there was a few people that kind of kept their eyes and ears open. But for the claims for November and December, $244,166.50. If we don't have a spending problem, I don't know what we do.
Bob Poplar. Next speaker, Bob Poplar.
Oh, man, give me a break.
I didn't see you standing up.
My foot fell asleep.
Hang on, Bob.
Please state your name and address for the record as well as noted on the.
Sure. I'm gonna write my name at the end, so I don't want to give up any minutes here. Bob Poplar, 4467 South Lake Drive. It is now 2026, which means I am now in my 51st year of ownership of a home in this town. I'd like to comment on obviously the wheel tax. I think the wheel tax is kind of a sham, because everybody thinks that $50 is gonna be what you're gonna get. You're not gonna get 50, because the state's gonna take some of that. And you're not gonna get it tomorrow, because you're gonna get it from the state when they think you want it. So, a lot of comments here. There's a gentleman here who gives that I still remember. There's two quotes that I remember. One, someone was running for mayor, and they said, "I know where the bodies are." Number two, another one said, "You don't have a budgeting problem, you got a spending problem." And that's true. We talked about making market corrections for some staff. I asked the leadership of this common council in this city, how many city employees live in the city, or how many live outside the city? Nobody could give me that answer. So we're handing out these nice raises to people who don't even live here. They have no buy-in. They don't care. Drive around. How many signs are crooked? How many things are broken? This is a sin. It's also probably illegal, because I don't know what's above that ceiling. So I'm gonna close with that. Thank you for putting up with me, not only tonight, but as usual. But you got a problem here, and I think this whole thing of no finance committee meetings, no common council meetings in a month and a half. You're trying to operate a building or a business here that I'm not sure you could operate a cooling stand. Thank you.
Next speaker, Joseph Kalova. Please state your name and address for the record as well as noted on the note. Sure.
Joe Palova, 3805 East Van Norman Avenue. I've been a resident of Cudahy for 40 years. And I've never had a tax increase like I had this year, over $800. Now combine that with the fact that I am on fixed income, my Medicare has gone up, my secondary insurance has gone up. This would be a total of, like, just the way it is, an extra $1,400 this year that I have to come up with. And now you want to tack on some more money. I just don't get it. School tax went up $600, but we're closing 3 schools. I don't understand this. I just don't understand the whole thing. Like I say, in 40 years, my taxes have never gone up this much. And that's all I have to say is I don't need another $50 per vehicle tacked on to that. Thank you.
well as on the notepad.
Chad Garcia, 3677 East Carpenter Ave. I'm against the wheel tax. I've lived here since building a new house in 2024. I can't believe the lack of transparency in government and lack of response from those in government. If spending's ever questioned, we're threatened with cuts immediately. The police department just dropped the neighborhood watch due to staffing and budget. As a retired law enforcement officer, I know how hard it is to get public support and involvement, yet you cut the only program that does both. As someone who was involved instructing the Citizen Police Academy at my agency, I know that we would adjust our hours to teach and to avoid overtime. The chief or someone else on salary should be running the neighborhood watch without costing the city any extra money. Here. We need code enforcement and citations to clean up the city and make revenue for the city. Plus, this is how you get businesses and people to move here. There are so many homes and businesses in disrepair. I filed multiple complaints on a house in severe disrepair near me over the past year. Nothing's changed. I've contacted the mayor, the city inspector, all the alderpersons. My last contact was with the city inspector at the end of December, and he promised he would follow up on January 2nd. I'm still waiting for that call. Thank you.
Next speaker, Ava Hubbard. Please state your name and address for the record as well as noted on the notepad.
Okay, good evening. My name is Eva Hubbard, 5278 South Elaine Avenue, Cudahy. I did not prepare any fancy speech. Unfortunately, I feel like I came here very unprepared. I just found out about this meeting and what was going to be discussed on the agenda. Had a lot of family issues going on after the holidays, so I've been a little bit distracted with all that. The bottom line is everything that's been said here tonight, ditto. I was born and raised in this city, never left this city. I own a couple of properties here in the city. My grandparents built their home on Dish Avenue, 1942. My grandfather worked at Laddish for 43 years until he had to retire due to cancer. The roots my family has in this city are so deep. And I also was sitting next to an old neighbor of mine that I grew up next door to. And it's actually a crying shame what has happened to the city of Cudahy. I don't expect any of you here to understand that, because I don't believe any of you have lived here 40, 50, 60 years. Okay, thank you. So you know where I'm coming from. It makes me cry when I think about selling my home, because until now, honest to God, as my witness, I never thought I would want to leave this city. This is the first time I've ever came to a common council meeting. This is the first time I've ever spoke at a common council meeting. I'm typically one of those ones that have a larger bark than bite. And right now, I have a husband who's sitting at home waiting for dinner, a dog who's sitting at home waiting for dinner. This was not in my agenda to do this, but I felt that it was too important, because I believe this room would have an awful lot more people in it if more of the citizens of Cudahy realized that you guys are once again proposing this wheel tax. Let me propose this to you. How about all the people who live in the city who do not drive? How about us who own numerous vehicles who are going to be paying for this over and over and over again? And how about my neighbor who drives her car all over Cudahy on expired tags since 2020? She probably has no insurance and no driver's license. but I would invite the Cudahy Police Department to patrol the 5200 block of South Elaine a little bit closer. Because this is BS. I'm on disability now. I was forced into early retirement due to severe arthritis, double knee replacement, so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is I can't even afford to live in the city anymore. I'm gonna probably have to sell the rental, and I'm thinking about selling my home, which, like I said, I thought the only way I would leave that house was feet first. I don't know if that's gonna be a doable thing for me. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker, Lindsay Brazil. Please state your name and address for the record as well as on the notepad.
Lindsay Brazil, 2737 East Carpenter Avenue. The city of Cudahy and its residents have something in common: dwindling bank accounts. Let's face the facts, the cost of living is increasing all around, and faster than anyone can keep up with. $40 or $50 more a year here and there, who's gonna argue about $4 or $5 a month? We'll just cut back. Maybe it's a coffee or a beer at the end of a work week. How many of those coffees or beers disappear and the local business has to close? Another vacant building. What happens when the right-of-way never goes away and increases, as it's the easy answer? When our aging population places their home for sale, but it sits as new residents are deterred by the cost. Apartments sit vacant as rent is the same 5 miles away, but you won't pay more to own a car. We will hit a time where a thriving city is nothing but a dream. If this right-of-way is a short fix to repair past mistakes, and there is a plan, make it be a plan. Set a term limit to it so it does go away. But let's all work together for a positive solution instead of poo-pooing on opportunities being presented like the Sendix that will attract from neighboring communities. Let's come together as a community to be the solutions and not add to the problems.
Next speaker, Terrence Honer. Please state your name and address for the record as well as noted on the pad.
Terrence Horner, 6069 South Delaware Avenue. I think everyone here has said it better than I can say. You'd have to be blind to not see that this was the whole idea to begin with, is to table it and bring it back the first chance you got with the wheel tax. I think these $50 would be better spent at a watering hole. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Stephen Eager. Please state your name and address for the record as well as listed on the notepad.
Steve Eager, 6170 South New York Avenue. Just going to read the letter I submitted to the Common Council. I didn't sign up to be a firefighter for public speaking, so bear with me. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Steve Eager. I am a resident of Cudahy and the vice president of Cudahy Professional Firefighters Local 1801. I'm here tonight regarding the wheel tax, but more importantly, to talk about the responsibility this council has to the people who make this city work. The budget originally set before you was not a wish list. It was a foundational document designed to support the men and women who keep this city running. For members of Local 1801, that budget supports 21 dedicated employees, 20 spouses, 32 children, and a 33rd child on the way. When you expand that to include the families of roughly all 130 city employees, that's nearly 500 people that this budget supports, and the council is truly responsible for. We are nearly 75 people just in the local who have been dealing with inflation and tighter budgets as well. Just like other residents who are here today, we understand that nobody likes taxes, but if you don't resolve the budget deficit through generating revenue, it will be done on the backs of the employees who do the hard jobs this city needs. Without this revenue, you aren't just deferring maintenance on asphalt. You are backtracking on the responsibility you have to these families. You were elected to lead, and leadership means making the difficult choices necessary to fund the services our neighbors rely on. As a resident, I am willing to pay this tax. I am willing because I know that savings of not passing it will eventually be paid for in lost staff, diminished services, and a weaker community for my own children. Please honor the intent of the original budget. Support the families who show up for Cudahy every day. Pass the wheel tax proposal. Thank you.
Any other public comment that was not turned in? With that, we'll move on to consent agenda. Consent agenda item 1, minutes of the Plan Commission held November 11th, 2025. Item 2, minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held November 18th, 2025. Item 3, minutes of the regular Common Council meeting held December 2nd, 2025. Item 4, minutes of the Plan Commission held December 10th, 2025. Item 5, claims ending November 30th, 2025 in the amount of $391,279.29. Item 6, claims ending December 31st, 2025 in the amount of $852,887.28.
Request, items 5 and 6 to be removed from the consent agenda.
Do we have a motion on items 1 through 4?
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 4.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Alderperson Levy to approve items 1 through 4, seconded by Alderperson Haynes.
All right, and new this year, we are going to shake up our roll call. So we're going to work backwards today. Alderperson St. Miguelco?
Yes.
Alderperson Lefersky?
Yes.
Alderperson Haynes?
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips?
Yes.
Alderperson Levy?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Items removed from consent agenda, we have claims ending November 30th, 2025 in the amount of $391,279.29. And item 6, claims ending December 31st, 2025 in the amount of $852,887.28.
Okay, as all of you are aware, I have had continued concerns with the fact that the claims reports do not reflect the purpose for each of these checks that were cut. Our code requires that a purpose be stated in the claims report. I spoke with the city attorney regarding this yesterday, and he told me that it's been done this way for decades. And, excuse me, even though our code requires it, he basically said, well, that's the way it's been done. He suggested that I possibly get the council to approve the insertion of the word purpose and have that purpose stated in the claims report as our code would require. I think in the interest of transparency, anyone out there who goes online and looks at a packet in an agenda can look at this claims report, and any questions they may have will certainly be either eliminated or reduced in number. Not only that, but my questions up here will stop then. So the meeting can proceed a little bit quicker if we just do things in accordance with our code. So having said that, I would like to make a motion to table these two claims reports because for 2 months, there's $1.1 million that has been spent out of the city coffers. And some of the stuff, I guess you can understand and figure out what it's for, but there's a lot of it that I can't. And so I will first make a motion to table these two claims reports and include in that motion, when they come back, that they insert the purpose of that particular check or claim on the report. That would be my motion.
Okay, motion by Alderperson Lefersky to table consent agenda items that were removed, number 5 and 6, to come back, and then, as stated, he would like the term purpose integrated into it as per the code. So do we have a second?
Can I clarify? You want the purpose here forward, correct?
Yes.
Why don't you go back?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion seconded by Alderperson St. Marie Belko on a roll call.
I'll vote yes.
Yes.
Start with me.
Alderperson St. Marie Belko. Alderperson Lefersky.
Yes.
Alderperson Haynes.
No.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, old business item 1, discussion and necessary action regarding ordinance number 2565 entitled an ordinance to create sections of the City of Cudahy Municipal Code related to right-of-way fees.
Okay, so as we've all heard, this was addressed back in November. It was turned down. There was a $0 assigned to this. Staff has gone through the budget considerably, along with myself, with them. All the alders were invited to go through it as well. The administrator in a memo, which you all have in your packet, basically outlines option 1 or option 2. So that's kind of where we're at. So this was tabled, so we're bringing it back to decide if you want to move forward or if you don't. That's kind of where we're at. So when it comes to things that are going to be potentially how you do it, just to clear a thing up regarding the 4th of July, that item has nothing to do with the parade or the fireworks. It has to do with overtime that would have to be paid toward DPW and police for that event, which takes almost 3 days to take care of. So. Yes, I will get that sponsorship done for that, so, but right now, it's up to council for discussion, and we'll be looking to see what you wanna do.
So our people have spoke again for the second time that they're not interested in pursuing a wheel tax to solve our financial issues, and that we should take care of it another way. I said that when we left the room. Whether it was the 13th or the 18th, and we do have another option. So I think it's unfortunately a disrespect to our citizens and their voices to even have this back on our agenda at this time.
Anybody else?
I don't know, can I ask the question about what happened to the insurance savings that was asked by a gentleman here tonight? There was a 13% swing from what we originally approved in September. And I did some quick and dirty math at home. Without even including the retiree insurance, there was a $300,000 savings there. The bottom line of the budget never changed, so I guess I'm asking what happened to that money that was saved with the insurance?
Eric, with this being the wheel tax, is that a conversation we can dig into?
Can't hear you.
Well, I think you're avoiding the question is what you wanna do.
Yep.
Yep.
I think, to answer that question.
Can't hear him.
Please speak into the microphone.
Thank you.
Is it on? So, on our agenda, if we're under item 1 of old business, that relates specifically to the right-of-way fee. Doesn't relate to insurance. I think when we get to new business, item 2, it may relate to a possible amendment of the budget.
Then I'll make a motion that we deny the request to insert the wheel tax as part of the budget.
I'll second
Okay, motion made by Alderperson Wolfers-King to deny the wheel tax. Alderperson St. Louis Belko.
Roll call, Alderperson St. Marie Belko.
Yes.
Alderperson LaFerski.
Yes.
Alderperson Haynes.
No.
Alderperson Phillips.
No.
Alderperson Levy.
No.
Oh my God.
Recall.
Recall.
Yep.
Recall.
Any further discussion?
Oh, yeah.
I do think that if it does pass, it needs to change the ordinance because it doesn't actually state that it's for right away. It is for cities on that.
We voted on the item.
Yes.
So there's really no further
That's right.
discussion once you vote on
We
the
voted
item,
to deny.
right? So, but we voted, you approved it, so you don't sit there and now.
Right,
that's-
second guess.
We didn't vote to approve.
Voted to deny.
Yeah, I know.
The item is back before the council, in my opinion.
We can have a discussion now because we still get to vote again.
Okay, you know what? Everyone got a chance to address this and we can listen, but please keep your comments to a small door. It's gonna be disruptive if there's outbursts, okay? Thank you.
So I'd like to say, since COVID, our economic landscape has shifted dramatically, you all know that. And the effects have cascaded through every level of this economy. Increases in our fuel costs sit at the top of this chain reaction. When gas prices rise, transportation costs rise with them. Those increased costs pass down to food distributors, vendors, and ultimately, you, the consumers. The result is higher grocery prices, higher restaurant prices, and increased operating expenses for nearly every business in this community. We all feel it, and we hear you. This cost pressure continues to trickle down to wages and employment. Small businesses and restaurants are struggling to retain employees, not because of a lack of desire to pay fair wages, but because of rising overhead leaves less margin to do so. At the same time, households are feeling the squeeze as paychecks stretch thinner while the cost of basic necessities continue to climb. This is basic economic flow in action. Our city is not insulated from these same forces. The cost of operational municipal services have increased in the same way they have for our families and our businesses. Health insurance premiums continue to rise, fuel costs for our cities, vehicles are higher, and even essential supplies like paper and printing have become more expensive, which is why we can't print out your copies. These increases compound year after year, making it unrealistic to expect the city to operate indefinitely on a flat budget while expenses continue to escalate. My goal as an alderperson is not to reduce services or place an undue burden on residents. I am listening to you. However, maintaining essential services require acknowledging the downstream effects of today's economic conditions. With that in mind, I would like to propose a $25 wheel tax for this year as a measured, temporary step to help balance rising costs while minimizing impacts on residents. This approach recognizes the realities of our current economic condition while allowing the city to continue functioning responsibly without diminishing services our community relies on.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, we have a motion made by Alderperson Levy to impose a wheel tax for $25. Is there any, attorney?
Is that adoption of the ordinance, inserting $25, is that your?
25 at a max, please, yes.
Okay, and the ordinance, or do you want that on the fee schedule?
There must be a fee schedule for the amount, so ordinance should be the ordinance and then set that.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Okay, so it's a motion to approve the ordinance and have it state $25. Is that on the fee schedule? Okay.
It's a separate item, so it's just one motion for the approval of the ordinance.
Yes.
Was
Well,
that
to be
correct?
clear, the ordinance has a blank for a dollar amount at present. And I'm understanding that you want that blank to say $25.
The max at $25, yes.
Now second.
Okay, so now what are you gonna do when you're short?
Okay, motion made by Alderperson Levy as stated, seconded by Alderperson Haynes.
Roll call.
Any further discussion?
Just a friendly amendment to that, can we please review what the actual ordinance says? Because the first paragraph doesn't reflect.
Bring that up, please.
Wheel tax.
And it's used.
Or right-of-way fees. The first section of this ordinance that we're about to approve is the same from urban forestry, so we copied and pasted it. But it needs to actually say what it actually is.
Exactly. How lazy can we get?
Yeah, the first whereas paragraph, I see what you're saying. It should refer to the transportation.
Yes, please. If that's what you
As
said.
amended.
As a friendly amendment.
It's a Scribner error, yeah. Yes.
Okay. We're good? Go ahead.
Any other
Go ahead,
discussion?
Brian.
I would like to offer a friendly amendment if possible with, to include a review at the end of the year before the next budget, when we go in the next budget for 2027 discussion.
726.
And also, for further discussion, one thing I just want to say thank you to all the residents that took the time to show up tonight. It makes me, I'm pleased that people were active. Because there's many times for common council meetings, we only have 3 or 4 people show up. But
They're not listening to us.
Just raise your hands.
No,
Do you?
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
Go
is
ahead. Go
discussion.
ahead. Go ahead.
This is discussion
Okay.
among the council.
The only thing I want to say is, I hear you, I understand you, I feel you because I'm in the same boat. But there's times the city has to make hard decisions, and the one thing I will not support is reducing services and personnel and police and fire, because I stand with the men and women, our first responders.
What are the police prosecuting these days besides children?
Okay, but again, please keep the comments. This is not time for public comment.
He opened the door. No question.
Any other discussion from the council?
Yeah.
Only person the first.
There were a number of questions asked here tonight that didn't get answered. One of them was just answered with the proposal of a $25 fee. The 2024 budget reflected a $2.1 million surplus. It's projected that last year's budget will have $1 million. We've got $7 million in our savings account. And I guess I'm just not understanding why we have to do this. We have this money. We've heard complaints about the state sitting on billions of dollars and not releasing it, when in essence, on a smaller scale, that's exactly what we're doing right here today. We've got money in the savings account that could handle these oversights. We have limited discussion on this budget.
Point of order, Alderman Haynes.
It's not specific to the agenda item.
It certainly is. It's balancing.
It
the
certainly is.
Don't get the wheel tax if you get the money from the savings.
That's right. If you need it.
Anyway, you saw up here, I asked the question, what happened to the healthcare savings, and I wouldn't get an answer. So there goes your transparency. You asked for transparency, you're not getting it.
Okay, so, Finance Director Sobieski is gonna answer the best she can, okay?
The surplus from the prior year's budget is largely attributed, more than 50% to interest earnings. That is not the current market any longer. Those interest earnings won't continue to gain at that rate.
That wasn't my question. My question was, what happened to the savings from the healthcare costs, the 13% swing? We went in at a 7% increase in September.
That initial, wheel tax was gonna be proposed at $95. That was used to
It was
reduce.
$50.
It was used to reduce what we were going to propose
95?
that wheel tax to be.
$95.
Yeah, that's, you know.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yep,
We keep wavering here, this is, it's just been a very disappointing budget process, in my tenure, in serving this community.
But
I've
you
never been
voted
involved.
to approve the budget. I voted no. Butch LaFerski
Well,
voted no.
because we need to get our taxes done.
You
So
could've
otherwise we
amended
could've just- we could've- But we are amending it, we were supposed to be doing that.
You could've
We are
just
not
voted for the
supposed to be
levy.
waiting, listen, we were
Well,
supposed to.
that's why we didn't have any other finance meetings, was because you approved the budget.
With the
As
under-
stood.
with the
I asked for a
understanding-
finance meeting because we said we were gonna approve the budget so we could do our tax bills. That's what we were told by our director, our clerk. So,
Many of us
were here. So now you wanna play a game.
Mayor, I think we should kind of take a deep breath here and refocus our efforts on our procedures, that you do have rules of procedure. Your rules of procedure require the remarks to be directed to the presiding officer. So I think that would be helpful to this discussion, would be to direct your remarks to the presiding officer, was the mayor.
for now.
Well, Mr. Mayor, anyways, it's like, the fact is, it's like, however, again, we don't know, again, we never heard exactly what has changed in health insurance, how that impacted. It was supposed to be, now we say because we would have had a $95 wheel tax in lieu of the $50 when the whole discussion, back in November was $50. It was on the fee schedule. And we didn't even know, you know, that we just had found out about the health insurance at the point in time when we had that meeting, when it was still on the fee schedule, already on 50 prior to that. So, this number keeps bouncing around and we're just not getting transparent information of really where we're at. You know, we were at a $1.1 million deficit. We initiated and approved 2 fees to curb that.
For how much?
We still didn't know the first, and that, so we didn't know then what was left over as far as the deficit. Even, again, especially with the healthcare shift. So it's just been very, and even on the memo, it's very vague on option 2, but we're not there yet, we're on the wheel checks. But we don't know, like if we need, I don't really want the $25 max, if the word maximum is in there. There should be no amount in there because we don't necessarily have to even engage the ordinance just because we approve it if we don't put an amount in there. If we go back and approve option B, or we look at our numbers. So these poor people, because nothing's temporary. Unfortunately, you put it in, you can put the word review in there, but we are gonna have a wheel tax in the city of Cudahy. Because nothing's gone backwards. Unfortunately, individuals, again, like the lady, I've lived here all my life. I've been involved in government over 10 years. Nothing goes backwards. I agree with the citizens when they say that. Any hydrant fee, garbage fee, recycle fee, now the arborist, you know, urban forestry fee, and the street light fee. That's not gonna go backward, either is this.
Alderperson LaForski.
Okay, the budget that was approved here in September reflected a 7% healthcare insurance increase. We made no changes to that. No changes were brought to our attention. When we had the public hearing on the budget, or one of the subsequent meetings to September, I was informed that there was a 6% reduction in current cost, providing for a 13% swing. Over the holidays, I looked at the budget documents that were presented for the public hearing, and they were different than what we approved in September. No changes were ever brought to our attention, and quite honestly, Maybe I should have, that's my fault, but I never took the time to compare until I decided to contact our city administrator and made a request of him as to what the actual difference in savings would be for what was originally put in the budget to what was the current proposal that was presented to the city that should have reflected a 13% difference, reduction. What I got back in terms of an answer was a way to determine what that number was by going into the budget, looking at each individual department, adding up the healthcare costs, tallying them up, and then doing the same for the budget that was approved to determine what the number was. The rough and dirty number I came up with was $300,000. And my original question was, what happened to the additional monies that were part of a savings, because the bottom line of the budget never changed. So that money was somehow filtered into other areas of the budget without our knowledge, at least not my knowledge. I never saw a memo. Did I miss a memo? Did you get a memo? There you go. That was my question. What happened to the money?
What, this isn't related to the ordinance.
Well, you were gonna answer my
Discuss
question.
it at the amended budget or not.
Now you don't wanna answer the question.
So the health insurance costs, so we have to budget in anticipation of if everyone took it. That plays a factor as well, because we don't know who's gonna take it, who doesn't from year to year. So there could be changes in their personal lives, or else their spouses would have to jump on our insurance. So we budget ahead for that. That's how we normally do it, correct?
Wouldn't you have done that in September though?
We looked at all that, and that's before we got the changes, which again, we still don't, the changes, insurance was coming in at 40%.
But you factored in to the budget a number that would reflect everyone taking the insurance.
Yeah, which
You
put
have
us,
to do
which
that.
put us at a higher deficit.
I got that, okay.
Okay.
But that still doesn't answer my question. What happened to the money and that was saved with the new proposal? What happened to that money?
You have documents on that?
It's all in the budget documents.
Provide. Let's see.
All the
You
budget documents that are
didn't
provided to you.
return it back to the public here. You kept it in the budget. That would have been a savings of, like I said, my quick and dirty numbers that didn't include retirees was $300,000 that would originally have cut the $600,000 wheel tax. It would have cut it in half, and you would have had the $25 wheel tax. If 300,000 was the number.
Those
I don't know
numbers
what the
were
number
all
was.
used to come up with the fees that were come up with in November. So we were coming up with the fees in November, once we knew everything that was gonna be coming in. Transportation aids come in late in November, insurances come in late in November. There will always be changes from September until November, which is why you're provided the line item documents so that you can review them. There will never be a time that they don't change, because we have the ability to very closely budget. We budget dollar for dollar on our employees. We don't
Kelly, you
put
didn't know that number.
surplus in
Mr.
there.
Mayor, I'm just gonna say, our clerk had noted when we had, because we have to put out the budget to the public 30 days out from that November date. It did not change from when we walked into the room, so 30 days, but yet you're like, oh, we just found out.
From September to October.
No, we just found out, on
When the
November
publication
18th,
goes.
at the public hearing, that night we approved the budget. It
Correct.
said it was just found out that now it flipped from 7% over to like 6% under. And those numbers were not baked into that budget that we approved because it was out there for 30 days for the public.
In the November budget, they were factored
They
into
were
the
not,
November
because
budget.
you just said it had just changed.
We figured out what the fees were going to be in November. When we get the budget publication ready, we have all of that included. Those things come in last minute, but we included them.
The fees were already in place at the November 18th meeting.
Correct, using the numbers with the reduced insurance costs.
Okay, so you made changes to the September budget, and you didn't notify us of those changes.
You were
changed
notified
various-
at the November meeting when you received your
You
documents.
didn't bring those to our attention, that's my point. I assumed we were working with the same budget.
There was a memo that was included with it that highlighted the majority of the changes. Every dollar item is not listed,
Initially.
it is in the,
Initially,
it's also in the budget public hearing.
did you call out the number, the savings for the insurance?
Yes, it was listed that there was a reduction to the insurance cost.
What was the total dollar amount?
I don't have that all in front of me, no. That's not something that I'm planning to bring for an ordinance, no.
Put it up.
But it is on the city's
Well, if
website,
we're
on
really looking for money, we
the
normally would get, and I don't even remember if any of the change was on that memo, I'd have to go dig it out, in my, files electronically, but the sad thing is that we didn't have that on there. And we didn't have the amount it was, because if we were so tight looking at numbers, like, those things are normally called out and summarized to us, those immediate changes, so we would know. And I know the insurance, because you verbalized it, it was not on our memo that evening when we were looking at the budget, so I don't want to get nitpicky that that was a big one, because insurance costs a lot of money.
It does cost a lot of money, it's one of our hugest expenses, yes.
So the point is, like, do we need $25? We don't know, because we're really not sure, but, within this motion of putting, some kind of dollar amount, maxing it out at $25. That's a discussion, we don't know.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I think we should restate the motion, just to get it back fresh in everyone's mind. There is a motion on the floor.
I have a motion to approve the ordinance with a maximum of $25 as amended with the first whereas paragraph and annual review.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, there's already a motion.
There's already a motion and a second, and then we had a friendly amendment by Alderman Haynes to have a review stated on that at the end of the year.
Correct.
But earlier.
Alderperson Sidbury Belker, do you want to put maximum in there, or you want to?
Well, that's what,
Is that what you did?
He
Okay.
already had asked for the word
Up to
maximum $25.
Okay.
Up to
Temporary.
$25.
Temporary.
Okay.
And a temporary. But how does that
Which means if we don't need $25 per,
You dump it.
we can do 2, or 1, or 0.
So with annual review.
It gives an out, basically.
Alderperson Savory Belko?
No.
No.
Sorry. Alderperson Haynes?
Yes. Yes.
Alderperson Phillips?
Yes.
Alderperson Levy?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2. Item 2, discussion and necessary action regarding resolution number 7180.15 entitled "A Resolution Adopting the City Fee Schedule." This is where you will insert also the $25.
Maximum of $25.
You're making a motion.
I'm making a motion, sorry.
A motion made by Alderperson Levy to adopt resolution 7180, a resolution adopting city fee schedule with a maximum of $25. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderperson Haynes. Any discussion?
With putting a maximum in a fee schedule, I don't think it's going to work unless we actually have the numbers.
That's right.
Which is my
Oh,
point.
you put a maximum in the ordinance and you approved it, so you already got your maximum, already noted, so you just put $25. Basically, right? The ordinance, that it supersedes the fee schedule.
That's just my discussion.
If we.
Minus the $5,000. The meter gauge.
Okay.
Roll call. Alderperson Savory Belko?
Yeah.
Hold on, Attorney Larson.
Can we just clarify, are we gonna say maximum of $25, or are we gonna say just $25 based on that?
Or lower, it should be, I guess you can use it, the ordinance says max, so.
Can we not have it be 0 when the ordinance says max of 25? Because if we don't need it,
Max and temporary.
Because.
I'm just asking the question.
Well, we need to notify DOT of the amount of this fee.
I understand, but if we don't understand how much money we're trying to make to create the budget shortfall.
So to be clear, we did budget for the 50, so anything under that, obviously, we will have to just reduce expenses accordingly to make sure we don't exceed the budget.
So if you still want to have 25 maximum. Okay.
That's fine.
Attorney Larson, any more input?
Who decides what the number is that gets reported to DOT?
The citizens.
It's worth it that way.
Yeah.
That's my concern. I think we need to have a flat number. And the fee schedule is reviewed every year, so that will be reviewed. And it could be reviewed more frequently, but as far as what gets reported to DOT, we need to have a number.
So it comes back to you, Miranda.
25.
All right, so.
Is that the second agrees with that?
Yes.
Okay, motion's on the floor and seconded as stated. So I guess unless there's any more discussion, we'll take a vote.
Alderperson St. Rebelco.
No.
Alderperson LaFerski.
No.
Alderperson Haynes.
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2. New business, item 1, discussion and necessary action regarding the request of transient merchant permit for Sal Melendez, agent of Azteca Restaurant LLC, food truck pending all inspection background checks. This item was allowed to bypass rules laws by the chair. The clerk's office has no concerns with the application.
I'll move to approve.
Any motion made by Alderperson St. Rebelco to approve Azteca for the food truck? Do I have a second? Seconded by Alderperson Levy.
Roll call, St. Rebelco.
I'm sorry, yes.
Alderperson LaFerski.
Yes.
Alderperson Haynes.
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2, discussion and necessary action regarding resolution number 7598, entitled Resolution Amending the 2026 Adopted Budget of the City of Cudahy. Due to the option of old business 1 and 2 being approved, it is not necessary to take action on this.
So,
Will we still not need other cuts with that amount of money?
With it being reduced, we'll obviously collect less revenue. We'll need to maintain our expenses below what was published in the budget. When you have to amend a budget, when you're exceeding listed expenses, we won't be.
Like travel in the wellness. $1,000.
I think we should review this personally, just to see how you presented this resolution to switch some money around, because there are changes in here.
There's a lot.
And I think it would be good to actually review it, and it'll also answer some of the questions that were brought up tonight. As to, for an example, why the CDA has money in it now, where it didn't before. So I think if we can at least review it, whether action is needed or not, but, we definitely need to go through it.
So do you wanna table this until review, or what do you wanna do?
It's an item right now, why don't we just go through it?
Okay, the resolution listed in front of you has the original budget expenses as well as the amended budget expenses and the listed decreases for each category. The general government expenses would be reduced by $106,963, largely attributed to, sacrificing a position in the clerk treasurer's office. Public safety expenses reduced $251,164, largely attributed to reduction of a sworn officer in the police department, as well as a lower percentage of increases, despite the fact that we are currently in negotiations. Public Works has a large increase of $692,817. That is due to the fact that all of the expenses listed under the right-of-way fund, which are outside of the general fund, would need to be restored into the general fund for us to be able to spend any money under those categories. As required by statutes, you must amend your budget if you're going to exceed the expenses listed. The budget publication did not include expenses that were listed for that category. Health and Human Services has a limited reduction of $7,221, largely attributed to salaries and wages, as well as slight allocations to other funds, some of the health grant funds. Other financing uses sees a decrease of $327,370. That is the amount of tax levy that would be transferred into the right-of-way fund, since the budgeted $50 fund did not cover the entire necessary expenses of all of those projects, salaries and wages. The other amended funds as listed, overall general government is down $93. That's just reallocations within the entire general fund. Health grant sees a reduction of $494, again attributed largely to salary and wage changes, which is exceptionally minimal. The 104 is special collections, it's also known as the garbage fund, sees a reduction of $1,044, again resulting in a difference to listed expenses for salaries and wages. Family planning clinic, $800 attributed to the same factor, salaries and wages. Rental property inspection, $2,080 reduction, again for the same. Right of way, that is a full wipeout of the expenses, so a reduction of $805,381. Street light and signals is an increase of $188, that's reallocating some of the other expenses. Urban forestry is $126, that's again reallocating some of the other expenses. The opioid fund, that's a new fund, that's specifically for expensing funds that are earmarked from settlements for opioids. Sees a reduction of $640 attributed to salaries and wages. The sewer utility will see a reduction of $2,696, which is attributed to salaries and wages. The water utility sees an increase of $18,211. That is due to the utility commission approving a different line item on their budget that we needed to incorporate. That is nothing that the council has any control over, that is the purview of the water commission. Storm water utility has a reduction of $5,077, that's again attributed to salaries and wages. Community Development Authority has a large increase in expenses of $204,970. That is to incorporate expenses related to possibly planning public space. Those have not been approved, however, we were budgeting for them just in case those do happen. Ambulance fund sees a difference of $2. The first fire engine has an increase in expenses listed of $5,350. We will likely be bringing this back for amendment at some point. There is some work that needs to be done on that, so once the audit is returned from 2025, we will likely request funds to be earmarked out of that audit of excess funds for the first fire engine.
Which is not tax dollars.
Correct. It is.
It was sponsorship money by private benefactors that gave the city money to take care of that.
Recycling fund will see a reduction of $9,536, again attributed to salaries and wages. And that leaves a total reduction in expenses of $300,168.
Get rid of the fire engine.
So what percentage did you give to the employees within this budget? That was fluctuating before, like we didn't know what we were gonna be giving them, so what is the annual?
So the average is about 3.2%.
Nothing's been allocated yet.
Correct.
As stated, we're in negotiation with the police and fire, so we don't know exactly.
No increases have been calculated to be brought forward until we have solidified what was gonna happen here tonight.
And no city employee, despite what is out there, false information, no city employee to date has gotten a raise at all, so.
Correct.
Except for the truck.
But they will, and it's an average of 3.2%?
On average, yeah.
That's an average, it could be less, I don't know. Find out.
It could be less because
We're still in negotiations.
Yeah, we're still in negotiations.
it's gonna have to do how that contract impacts, not the percent they get. It's gonna be how that percent affects the whole budget. Correct, that's why I just wanna make sure everybody understands that. It doesn't match the percentage, it's not about that, it's about what that percent does to the rest of the budget, and how you may have to adjust the rest of the non-contract employees. I just wanna make sure everybody understands that's the way it works, but,
Any other questions?
Alderperson Phillips, anyone? No. Any other discussion?
Can you go back to, CDA and explain what that money was for again, one more time, please?
There has been a lot of discussion regarding construction of a public space on Packard Avenue. And there would be plans that would need to be developed. If the CDA wishes to do that, we have to have a budgeted expense for that.
I thought there were to be no public involved in that project. My understanding was that was gonna be all through donations. Did that change?
That has not changed, that is the intent. What we'd be asking the CDA for, because we have to have, in order to get that money in sponsorship and have businesses like Laddish or Filter or Smithfield get involved, they have to have something to look at. So we need some kind of preliminary renditions, drawings, cost of materials, that type of thing. So I can get that and I can go out and sell it. I've approached these businesses quite a few times and I keep getting the same answer. We're happy to help you do it. We'll contribute considerable money, but you gotta show us something on cost. So I can't do that. I'm not an architect. So, and I'm just not that kind of guy. So that's what we have to have renditions done, so.
We also must pay the expenses out of one of
I'm sorry?
We must pay the expenses out of one of the funds, so we have to recognize the expense as all the donation.
And that's, but basically the CDA money really comes out of money that's from the TIFs and TIFs. So it's really not money that's coming out of the budget. It's pretty consolidated into the CDA activity. So I just wanna understand how that works, even though we've increased it, yeah, it's gonna get offset, cause there's money within the CDA that comes from our existing TIF districts in the community that will, keep that $209, so that really doesn't impact the deficit. Just let you know.
That's the same, you can see it in the details, you can see where it was a revenue item. Just like with July, there's a revenue item, which is a donation, and it offsets what.
Any other questions? And no action is required. So we can move on to item 3. Item 3, discussion necessary action regarding the mayor's appointments to certain boards, commissions, or committees. Appointment of Catherine Fairwell to the Water Utility Commission to fill a vacancy with a term ending in 2027.
So I'll defer to the city administrator. This individual has significant background when it comes to water utility, so I'll defer to JJ. He can tell you what her qualifications were and why we decided to.
Yep, actually, currently works for the DNR, and actually, years back, a short stint with our water utility. Cudahy resident expressed an interest and, the exact kind of qualifications you want on water.
Make a motion to approve. Okay, motion made by Alderperson Phillips to approve Catherine Fairwell to the Water Utility Commission, seconded by Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Alderperson LaFerski.
Yes.
You want to make me first?
Alderperson Haynes.
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
No.
Alderperson Levin.
Yes.
Motion 5-0. Item 4, discussion and possible action regarding moving forward with board commission committee streamlining.
Okay, so we were looking at things about streamlining things. This all started with personnel. So all of you guys are the personnel committee. So instead of having a meeting at 6:50 p.m. to discuss personnel or even earlier and then just have it readdressed at common council seemed a little redundant. Alderperson Levy is the president of the personnel. I've recommended to her, what if we just have it as I'll put it on the actual agenda for common council and have personnel at that time. So that seemed to make sense. It just seemed a little redundant to me. The traffic and safety, we are look to roll that into DPW as traffic and safety, which is chaired by Alderperson Haynes. He has said on many occasions, sometimes they can't get enough to have a quorum, and then what happens is anything that they do automatically gets referred to DPW anyway. So the recommendation is that we roll traffic and safety into DPW just to streamline and get business done immediately. Lastly, rules, laws, licensors. We've all sat here long enough where stuff goes to rules, laws regarding liquor licenses and those types of things, it's always, not always, but a majority of times approved by rules, laws, and then it comes here for council and it's all reiterated. Rules, laws is advisory only. So at any given time, this council or any council could overrule that and make their own decision. With that, my recommendation would be that anything that's regarding like liquor licenses, food trucks, as long as they're vetted through the health departments and the PD, that those be at staff level for approval, unless there is some question as to why they should or should not have a license, which would then come to council, so that all of you then would have an actual say. So I know Alderperson St. Rebelco spent many a year on rules and laws. This gives opportunity to all of you to have input on that as well.
But Mayor, it eliminates, again, we have heard a lot of the word transparency, checks and balances, and citizen engagement. I understand there's some committees that, we aren't working hard enough to fill spots on because we have 18,000 people in this community and we just have to ask people. In my tenure, again, I hate to use that word, as an alderperson, and yes, as the chair of Rules, Laws, and Licensing up until this term, I only had a vacancy because unfortunately one of my long-term members passed away. And I just, between the mayor and I, we talked to some people and asked them, and they stepped up to the plate. And we had people step up and participate. Rules and laws and licensing, yes, it can be very cyclical in the sense of, and basic. Why should we have, a food truck wait or peddlers? But sometimes we assess, again, those individuals. Certainly there's been, as a chairman, I have an opportunity working with my fellow aldermen or again, my own activity with my citizens. If something comes forward that I would actually bring amends or new ordinances forward, and then you have the opportunity to, at that lower level, that's why a lot of not just government has committees, but organizations have committees, even corporate has committees, because sometimes things need to be vetted. And it's not, not to say that the council can't do it, but you also have citizens on those committees. They're involved, so you get a citizen perspective, and sometimes it just needs to be looked at, and then you take it away and then bring it back. And it's a good opportunity. I certainly have been involved in traffic and safety, and yes, we've rolled that into Board of Public Works, because I also chaired Board of Public Works for several years. So not so much, but on that one, it still should go to a committee. It's not coming right to council. Just like rules and laws and licensing, there can be opportunities, and we're missing an opportunity by eliminating that committee in many ways. Transparency, citizen engagement,
these are all suggestions, and that's what the discussion is about. So whatever this panel wants to do is fine.
I agree. I would keep rules, laws as is, and I am okay with combining traffic and safety with DPW. I would like to know how you guys feel about personnel, considering we have a meeting just prior to our meeting and then we're voting on something. And it's our body that makes up the meeting. So I want you guys to be able to be more engaged at the level of having choices and conversation. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll step in on that one. I don't feel we should discuss an item, take action in committee, and then pass it that same night. I think there should be some time in between, and if you wanna wait the 2 weeks, and if we wanna wait a couple days to take that action, but I've always had a problem with committee action in that room, come across the hall, and action is taken, final action is taken by the common council. That part of it, I don't have a problem. The other thing, my question I had on personnel, Are the duties of the personnel committee gonna remain the same? They will be involved with all labor negotiations, and all personnel decisions. Is that the idea? Because in the memo, I saw that the city attorney was working on something already.
Go ahead.
I don't recall which meeting it was, we discussed this, makeup, and the attorney was directed to take a look at that. He did draft up, language for updating personnel, but then based on our conversations here, and depending on the direction, we thought it might be a more comprehensive look, depending on what council says, so we just held off on Attorney Larson's recommendations as the
I
personnel.
guess I don't have a problem if it becomes another item on the agenda.
But you wanna have it reviewed for at least 2 weeks or brought back, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or we could have it prior to committee of a whole, because there's no action taken at committee of a whole, till the following meeting. I mean, it could be held then. I do feel that we need to have more committee meetings. I have absolutely no idea what's going on in negotiations, and maybe that's the way you want it, I don't know. But initially, I found out from a resident that we were in negotiations. So, as long as I have the floor, I've addressed personnel. I'd like to speak to, rules, laws, and licenses. I sat on that committee since the election, and my feeling on that committee was, quite honestly, what are we doing here? Because according to the clerk, we can't deny if they pass background checks, it's gonna go to council. That part of it I could see transferring to council. I agree with Alderman St. Marie Belko that I think citizens need to be engaged in the process of changing rules and laws that apply to the city. We get their perspective on it. I don't think it's right to shut them out. Having them involved gets their perspective. So I think rules, laws, licenses, rules, laws should become rules, laws, and the licensing part, I would say, shift to the common council. And then what was the other one?
Traffic.
Traffic and safety, yeah, no issues with that, going to.
Alderman Haynes, you chair Rules Laws, do you have anything to add?
Well, I kind of share the same sentiment, about rules and laws. I think we could, maybe move license, into common council. And I do believe that we need our residents more involved, engaged in the process, and get their thoughts in this committee. And I'm open-minded for streamlining processes to make things more simple with city government. I could go either way, whatever the council wants to decide on rules and laws. And with traffic and safety, I concur, it should be merged into DPW.
Attorney Larson.
I just want the council to be aware that one of the rules of rules and laws is to hold hearings on non-renewal or termination of licenses. That's a quasi-judicial role, and so those matters can be lengthy, and they are required to provide due process, and so you will be wearing a black robe as judges when those matters arise, if you do not have rules, laws to conduct those hearings.
So as stated, it was just a suggestion, so we can leave rules, laws as it is, if that's what you guys, that's perfectly fine.
Could it just include, what you just spoke of as part of their duties, and, in the interest of, expediency, let the new licenses, renewals come before the council, and if a hearing is required, go ahead.
No, you can finish.
I'm done.
My amendment to that is like, so how it could work is like, you keep the committee, And of course, just as Kelly had, referred to an item that was on our agenda this evening, right? There was oftentimes in my 10 years, right, we would have a conversation like, hey, Michelle, do you mind if it was a license, like this food truck license, and they passed everything, and of course, Aztec, they're in South Milwaukee. We can refer to the police department, there are no issues, and you mind if it just jumps over to council. So then you just, you adjust like that by having the chair having a conversation with the staff. So again, those redundant things, you can have an effective meeting and have those really important items that you come to your committee versus, again, the simple renewals. And of course, take care of, yes, if we have to do a hearing on any revocation.
The code currently states all licensing matters shall come before the Lord of the license.
But you have the right to bypass that. I mean, the chair.
We have to change the code, so we
We'd
can
have to,
delegate.
yeah.
we could.
We can
amend the
delegate
code.
authority and then just have that option.
Yeah, you'd have to change the code. It shouldn't be,
Rather than-
well, it's okay this time, we'll let it slide. I think the code should reflect.
Yeah. In writing, so it's consistent. in my understanding.
So what I'm hearing is you're all in agreement to keep rules, laws as is, right? It's pretty much, right? Okay, so how do we feel about the rest of it? So, want to leave it fine if you want to streamline things?
I mean, personnel, my only comment on personnel is, I mean, we've been, this group, as long as you've been on council, we've been very fortunate. And I think I made this statement before when we've talked about the personnel committee. The time it becomes important versus having to do it and the council, or I guess you'd call a special council meeting to deal with, we have not had any issues. I'll put like an HR specific issue, like unfortunately I don't wanna use the word harassment, but let's use that as a topic because it's easy to just pull out of the HR policy and have to address an employee issue because of something like that. And that would usually happen in closed session anyways, except starting open meeting. So that's when you need your personnel, you want it as an isolated item, but it's always the council, so you could call a special council meeting, I guess, so that would be the way to handle that if you want to. Not have that.
So, looking for direction, you want us to proceed with bringing more options, more detail, or
Or you
actually
wanna-
start the work?
Or do you want to roll traffic into DPW?
I mean-
Just make a motion.
Staff can make, yeah, we need a motion to say that we're gonna move forward with making the, combining traffic and safety and, into Board of Public Works. This is a very long motion, and personnel, we can roll that into, council. And third, just to pull the code and amend the code for rules, laws, and licensing to note that, that licenses can be, if no issues, can be gone directly to council.
Be in the chair.
And if you want to say via chair approval.
Okay, you got all that?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Alderperson Slippery Broncos as stated into the record to make the necessary streamlining, seconded by Alderperson Levy. Oh, go ahead.
Celebrations committee was also.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Before we go any farther, so celebrations committee, there really isn't a committee. I was a committee of one for a while. Given what I have in place already with contacts and everything else, I have Rebecca from the library does her thing. Kind of don't really, not that I don't need help, but I don't think we have to have a committee, so.
I feel like you should keep that one for now, and we should explore trying to find you some members to help, to take some burden off your plate for future events. Do you have 0 people on it right now?
Just count my wife who helps me off the record, sure.
Well, I'm happy to sit on it, but, I think we can find some people to help.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna take much, I mean, we're not, the problem is we'd have to set agendas and they'll keep minutes and those types of things. Again, the few members we had, or people that helped out last time, I mean, we were there not even 5 minutes, so, so one of those things that, unless there's some big event going on, where we have to spend weeks planning things, I don't know.
But future thinking, you know, once we have our big park and event space and we're hoping to grow things, that's something you might want to keep.
That's fine,
Or
again,
maybe
it
we
was a
restate
suggestion
that.
that you're brought before you guys for discussion.
It's good to think long term, that's, I've been talking, I was thinking that myself, so, because you don't wanna keep coming in and out, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have one this year, and 3 more years, we'll take it back.
That's fine, we can leave it as is. That's fine.
So no amendment to the motion? Okay, roll call, Alderperson St. Rebecca.
Yes.
Alderperson Persky.
Yes.
Alderperson Haynes.
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 4, discussion and necessary action regarding the city newsletter.
Okay, city newsletter. What's that? Oh yeah, number 5.
I'm sorry.
5. All right, city newsletter, we all know it goes on quarterly. It's pretty lengthy, it's quite expensive to print, mail, those types of things. We were working on an advertising policy for businesses to advertise in the back, which would pay for the printing cost, should we decide we wanna go that route. It costs about $6,000 to $8,000 to do a mailing, something like that, right?
With the printing costs, it's probably around 4,000, just the postage costs are almost free.
So, things we talked about is have it digitally sent out to those who want it. The other part is if you want a actual printed copy, we would have those at the library and at City Hall, you can pick at your leisure. So, it is in color most of the time. Again, we have an advertising policy we're working on, correct, David Larson?
That's in my court, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry, I thought we sent it to him already.
Yes, we did, I've gotta get something back to him.
Okay, so we don't know where that's at, so like, let's say like, I don't know, Papa Louie just wanna take on ads, so we charge, whatever that fee schedule would be, but that would offset some of our costs. So again, but most of the thought is, we do it digitally, if you want a hard copy, they would be available at library and City Hall. I don't know what that number would be, we'd have to talk about that, so I'll open the floor up to this bodies for discussion.
I'm all in favor of getting rid of the printed newsletter. One, it usually isn't printed correctly, or it is very, very poor print job on it. It does not compare anywhere near to what the school board actually puts out. If we have something that we want to put in there, maybe we partner with the school board. That document actually looks good. The other thing is, I always notice that either one, I don't actually get it, or because of the mail, even though we pay for it. And 2, most people get their information from Facebook anyways, so why are we putting out this printed document that no one actually reads? Because if they actually read the document every quarter, then most stuff would actually be answered. As well as everybody in this day and time is on the internet, and can get it at some point. So I don't think that it's a hindrance on anyone by not having the newsletter, and I would make a motion to get rid of it.
Okay. So is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay, motion on the floor by Alderperson Phillips to eliminate the newsletter and go digital.
No.
To clarify, just get rid of paper.
Get rid of paper.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that, that's something I've suggested multiple times. I do, however, like your idea of having hard copies at multiple locations for people who do need them. I also do think we need to do a better job printing it. I get multiple complaints that the font is too small for the people who do read it, or the background color is incorrect, so it's hardly legible.
Yeah, our communications gal, she's done a really good job recently, and she's still striving every day to make things better, so. Okay, so a second by Alderperson Levy, any more discussion? St. Rebecca. Okay, here we go.
Don't agree that everybody's on the internet, but, I'm not opposed to, again, we already have, by the way, I don't want it to be, again, I like to make sure people are clear. Our newsletter is online. I share it with my email, people. It's been on our website that you can read off of there. So it's not like this is like super new that we don't have a digital version of our newsletter, but we also, of course, still mail it to our households, twice a year only. Yes, I agree with Alderman Phillips that, yeah, I print, because we use recycled paper and it doesn't look good, and a lot of times by the time you print something like, you miss an error and it's not a good thing. So certainly, I like the idea, other communities do it, that you do a combined newsletter. If we ever wanted to move forward with something and cooperate with the school district, that would be great. That would be one item I think we could maybe pass between the two of us. That we get so many pages and they get so many pages, and it could be a really nice, just overarching information piece for our people in our community on both sides. So that would be lovely, would go along with that. And of course, yes, printing a few copies, hard copies, and having them available in public space would be lovely but there are still homebound seniors that are good citizens of our community, that I believe aren't on the internet. We have one of our great citizens who comes every meeting, and we know he's not on the internet. So there are people out there, because it's just based on how our demographic is in our community, that still shows things. So don't want to exclude anybody from receiving information, because not everybody is on Facebook either. So we got to have lots of different ways, because we talk about transparency, and that newsletter is another way that we can continually be transparent to our citizens. But that's all we have.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. You wanna make an amendment that we do some printed copies at the public spaces then?
Well, if we need it in there, for sure. Yeah, we need it in there.
You might also even want to give some printed copies to people who advertise in it to have at their
Well,
spaces
yeah,
as well.
once we get to that point.
Once we get to that point, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so, all that being said, any more discussion?
Here, I'll make the friendly amendment, maximum of 50 copies.
Okay. Friendly amendment to, by Alderperson Phillips, maximum of 50 printed copies to be put in public areas. So we'll leave it at that until we get some of their policies in place. Okay, with that, on a roll call.
Alderperson Xavier Belko.
Yes.
Alderperson Persky.
Yes.
Alderperson Hayes.
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Department manager, elected official updates, mayor's updates on the first fire engine.
Okay, so I touched on this earlier, so as you know, that the Persh fire engine is Cudahy Fire's very first fire engine, 1927 Persh. It was purchased with private money. Myself and the fire chief threw our own personal money at it as well. To have it be brought back here was important for historical reasons, and it was really nice to have it back. The chief and I actually, over a few painstaking months, got it to run. It's not roadworthy quite yet, but it will be, but some of it's beyond our capability at the fire station. We just don't have the right tools or the right know-how. So with other sponsorship money, it's gonna get up to Fox Valley area for a guy that actually works on these little things to get it running for us, so that basically we can use it at city functions, public events, any one of the firemen, we should be able to jump in and hit the key and go. So it's kind of where we're at with it right now. So that's all I really had on that.
Yeah.
So, DPW Director Winter Operation Updates. Director Burkle is gonna brief everyone on what's been going on. So.
All right, we've had a very interesting winter so far. We went directly from picking up leaves, full operation, on that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thanksgiving was Thursday, and Friday we had a 6 to 8 inch snowfall. So it was hard to get equipment shifted over from leaves, ready for plowing operations, but we did do it. I would say us, meaning the city of Cudahy, compared to some of our neighbors around the area, the North Shore, the city of Milwaukee, I think we did a fairly good job on the leaves. We actually went back out on leaves, and We had that little time of a thaw where it rained so much here in the last week and a half ago. And we actually did pick up piles that we could. A lot of them were frozen to the ground, but we pushed with our push brooms on the front of our pickups, and we picked up the piles. Not a lot of communities were doing that. Some communities basically just said, hey, we're shut down, we're done. Like I said, in the North Shore, there's piles this high, still sitting out there. So, went straight from leaves right into the plowing operations. That first weekend was a very interesting weekend. We got hit with the snowstorm right away, and then a bunch of small ones right after. That payroll period was $85,000 just in snow cleanup for one payroll period. That's almost double what a normal pay period is. That's how extreme snow events can be for this budget. I mean, that's why we're all here, is we're trying to figure out how to help the budget here. If we have storms like that over and over and over again, it's gonna hurt. So now what are we in? We're in a time of, what did we have last weekend? We had all these light little snows that went for 3 days. Those are actually worse than the big snowfall. Because the light little snowfall, we use tons of salt. We have to. It's the only way we can keep up on it. We dropped some blades here and there, but you use so much more salt on small storms versus a big storm. So our salt allocation right now is actually fairly good. We got we're about halfway through our allocation. So we're standing fairly good. JJ, Anthony and I had a meeting this morning. We're feeling fairly confident. But if we keep having a bunch of these small storms, I would say next 3 maybe weeks, we should start conserving. Conserving means skip salting on side streets. It means salting more right when the truck comes to a stop sign. Conserving, basically. We don't want to get ourselves into a situation like our neighbors to the south just did this last weekend, and they ran out of salt that was in their storage barn. Okay? So they didn't run out of salt completely. They still have allocations sitting down underneath the home bridge that they own and they have rights to, or that some of they paid for, some are called reserve. They relied on us, and we gave them, I think, 5 or 6 trucks, full-size trucks. That's called a tandem truck, so it's the biggest one. So we saved them. That is a situation where, thank God we're not in that situation. We didn't have to rely on anybody. I mean, I know that the building of the larger salt dome was a big contentious issue here, but thank God we did it. We don't have a problem. We have no problem at all, guys. It's like we have our allocation just sitting there. Plus, we still have 200 tons sitting down on the dock with another 120 in reserve. So we're fine. We're not worried about it, but let's just hope these small little storms stop. Just some quick numbers. For an example, like these small storms that just happened over the last 2 or 3 days. That is, we dropped 90 tons of salt, which is 181,000 pounds. It's a lot of salt over a 3-day period. So just want to put that in everyone's picture of what could happen with the budget if we have to keep using so much salt. Because don't forget, what you use, you got to refill. And that means next year you have to project, and then we have to refill that barn again, which is a lot of money. What else do I got here? Solar salt. I wanted to talk about that really quick. So what solar salt is it's a product that we are getting shipped up from Chicago because the DOT, Wisconsin DOT doesn't participate in the program. We're hearing rumors that they are going to do this next year. But what solar salt is, it's a cleaner salt. You wouldn't believe how dirty regular rock salt is. It's very, very dirty. So when we're making brine, after each batch that we make brine, we have to wash out and clean the entire bottom of the brine maker. And it leaves a fairly good pile on the ground of just dirt, sand, gravel, you name it. Solar salt is a much, much cleaner product. Anthony went to a conference, came back, and was talking to a couple different people that make brine, and this is like the new way to do it, the new technology. So we did our first couple loads of solar salt, and we actually got them from a distributor closer by, not from the Chicago area, and the loads were great. I mean, the pile of gravel and debris that is left over afterwards is probably an eighth of the same amount from regular rock salt. The idea behind that, we're not ruining our piece of equipment. You guys remember when the Ryan unit was shut down or we had issues with it, those are some of the issues that can occur. You know, you think about it, if it's dirty, it's gonna get messed up. Something's gonna break on it. So, that's all I really have. Any questions about anything? Yeah.
What's the cost difference between the solar salt and the regular rock salt?
It's pretty significant, it's about almost double. So, but if it's gonna save your piece of equipment, and we all saw what happened when we were down the Bryan unit. Okay, the roads did not look the same as they do when we normally have it, so.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, moving on.
Introduction and passage of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinances, we have none. Resolution item 1, discussion and necessary action regarding resolution number 7592 entitled A Resolution Denying the Claim of Sean Baumgartner.
What were the details of this one?
This is a claim for vehicle damage.
Yeah, that's right.
A branch falling off of a tree onto a vehicle during a storm. So the claims committee did recommend denial of the claim.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion made by Alderperson Senior Rebels to approve the denial of the claim of Sean Baumgartner. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderperson Haynes. Roll call.
St. Marie Belko,
Yes.
Lepersky,
Yes.
Haynes,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 2, discussion and necessary action regarding resolution number 7593 entitled Resolution Denying the Claim of Cheryl Arkins.
Just state what this was for, please.
This is for alleged damage to property on or about September 11th. I believe this was related to fence damages. Claims committee did recommend denial of the claim. There was a claim that the fence was damaged by a mower. However, the damage appeared to be very, very dated, and there was no information filed by any employees that were doing any of the mowing at that point that could attribute anything to the damage, nor was it witnessed by anyone.
How do we feel?
Is the lawn being mowed for abatement?
It was, no, the yard abuts area of right of way that we have to cut.
Make a motion to approve the denial.
Okay, motion made by Alderperson Haynes to approve the denial claim of Cheryl Arkins, seconded by Alderperson Phillips.
Roll call, Alderperson St. Marie Belko.
Yes.
Alderperson Lepersky.
Yes.
Alderperson Haynes.
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Item 3, discussion and necessary action regarding resolution number 7597 entitled A Resolution Supporting the City of Cudahy's Admission to the Milwaukee Area Racine-Kenosha Passenger Rail Commission.
So I don't know, some of you might have seen this. This is referred to as the MARC rail. We were contacted by this commission to get involved. They're still doing some studies. They plan on wrapping up by the year 2030 with possible implementation. What it basically is, it'd be a commuter train coming out of Chicago. It would stop in Kenosha, stop in Racine, and originally it was supposed to go right to Milwaukee. Through some of the data they've acquired, they have discovered that city of Cudahy would be an ideal place for a stop because of the airport. And it would actually be more beneficial for the city, bringing people in. We potentially could have people that would work in Chicago but live here. So it kind of opens us up for a whole lot of stuff. They would use the existing Union Pacific rail line, so there'd be no tearing up our roads and that type of thing. So I think it'd be a good idea to get involved. That way we have a say, and we can kind of, hopefully steer the ship a little bit, so.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. I feel like a deja vu a little bit. I don't know if that was 12 years ago. I think it was when I was in office in '06. But with KRM it was called at that point in time. But hey, if they can finally get it to work, it will be fabulous for the city of Cudahy, yes, because of our proximity to the airport and stuff, and of course with our new housing and these people they want to go to Chicago. So I say make a motion to yes.
Okay, motion maybe all of us, and send your relatives will get involved. With the admission to the Milwaukee area Racine Kenosha Passenger Rail Commission, second by Alderperson Levy. Any further discussion?
What does this actually involve? Because when I reached out to them, they already had their commission set up. So this is just supporting that, or do we actually get a say in it?
Most likely, we get one representative, I'm speaking with the mayor, he may delegate that to me, it's a seat at the table. So then, you know, if they were going a route that we didn't necessarily like, I don't think we necessarily have a voice that's gonna sway the group, but, it's a way for us to know what's going on, what they're discussing, and bring it back to this body. Keep informed, if we wanna take informal action or recommendations back to that body, we've got a voice there.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing that there is none, we'll on a roll call.
Alderperson St. Rebecca. Alderperson LaFerski.
Yes.
Alderperson Haynes.
Yes.
Alderperson Phillips.
Yes.
Alderperson Levy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Public comment on any subject. State your name and address for the record, as well as jotting it down on the notepad.
Karen Milky, 5804 South Delaware. Just a couple comments after all of the comments that have been already made tonight. As far as the newsletter, I think we have to remember that there are a lot of people who aren't aware that you can go on a city website and get everything that we have. I think one of the perfect places to let them know that is when they come to register to vote. They want to vote, give them information on everything that we offer through the city. If we can come up with some kind of a pamphlet or something, give them information on the website, tell them where they can pick up their newsletters, all that information so that they can stay informed. A lot of people come into the city and I'll talk to them about, what do you know if you go on the website? I didn't know they had a website. But if they're gonna vote, then I think they should have that information available to them. I think that's a really important thing. Especially people who move into the city and wanna be active in the city. They're not gonna know about it until they wanna come and vote. So make sure that they get information. My other concern is if we change any of this budgeting, the one thing I hope you do not do is eliminate another police officer position. Look at the activity that they respond to. If you don't get those printouts of what they do every week or every 2 weeks, whenever they publish those, take the time to look at them. You take an officer out of that, you know how much extra work that's gonna be for them? Your call time is gonna be delayed by a ton. We need to keep our police officers. We need to keep our firefighters. Everybody says, oh, what do they do? Look at that and see how many calls they have in the short amount of time that they're working. If you want that public thing with the Black Watch, have somebody step up again. They ran that for a while without the police officer. Find someone else who's willing to stand up and take over that committee. I think that's important. You've got community involvement in that again, and I think that's important to keep. Just like I think you should keep the rules and laws. That needs to be city residents involved in it. The more you can have people involved, the less they can say, well, there's no transparency. You have to have citizen involvement. I mean, this was wonderful tonight. Like I said, there's 3 of us that are normally here at the meeting. You all know that. The 3 little musketeers sit together. This is important. I wish more people would show up for this meeting. But you also have to understand how city government works. And a lot of people who are commenting on this don't understand it. Come to common council meetings and listen to what's being said, and you'll be better informed, and you won't be making all your comments on Facebook. I hate Facebook when it comes to that, because so much information is wrong. Attend common council meetings and find out what's actually being said. Don't spread things on Facebook. Thank you.
Do I need to sign in again?
Yes, ma'am. And also state your name and address for the record again.
Diana
Anna Zelinski, 4572 South Packard Avenue. I just want to make a comment in regards to what Ms. Milky had said. We are in the process right now of reorganizing and readjusting and trying to reestablish a neighborhood watch program. It should be set up by the middle of February. We've got our first meeting coming up. We'd love to have all of you attend. I know that your concern is that you can't be all in the same room at once. We'll put you in a different room then. But I think that you all need to know what's going on as much in the city as we want to know what's going on behind the doors of City Hall. Hopefully, everybody will be able to attend, and we can make things a little bit easier in our communities for the police and fire, take some of the pressure off of them by reporting some of the things directly to them that a lot of people are afraid to do. So hopefully you'll all come, and that's all I have to say.
Skip J-Jeets, 2636 East Eaton Lane. You wanna know why people don't wanna be involved in politics? I think you guys demonstrated it here tonight. I did not see representative government here tonight. I believe the minds were made up before the citizens even expressed their opinion. All due respect to the fireman back here. If he can convince you guys to vote for the wheel tax when I counted 16-1 against it, I can only assume he's gonna not be satisfied with a 3.2 raise.
Tom Schmidt, 3954 East Brookline. I guess my first question is, when you people vote, what's the problem with opening that door and walking the lights? Second question I have, under whole business, the 25% wheel tax. No, I'm not a Philadelphia lawyer. Was this even legal? Or was everybody supposed to get a copy of the budget tonight to go through it all over again? Number 3, recycling. I was at a meeting years and years ago. I'm probably giving my age away, and for how many years I lived in Cudahy. But when Mr. Gilwacky came out and said that it was $14.10 for recycling, I said, how long is this gonna last? What are we paying for recycling now? Simple question, right? And the last thing is a 3-point-whatever% raise. Is this retroactive when you people walked into negotiations? Simple questions.
Hello, Pat King, 3907 East Iona Terrace. I'm up here to say, I got my 50% on my basement being damaged by your DPW and experienced people. 50%. So I think now would be a great time. That $25 that you said would be a good pay for our vehicles, our license plates, I shouldn't have to pay that ever until I get my other 50%. So now you all have a good night.
Anybody else? Mr. Poplar?
Yeah, I think that's what's okay.
Oh, yeah, get up there, Bobby.
You go, Bobby.
Gotta complete the Three Musketeers, you know, so, just a couple questions. We talked,
Please state your name and address.
oh, sure. Bob Poplar, 4467 South Lake Drive. We talked about the newsletter. I think we need to throw some time, effort, dollars, if possible, at the website. I mean, now, the meeting agendas and the packets and everything are all buried in a different place because we brought out the lead line, the lead water lines. So people who are looking for it, they may not be able to find it. So, I just had to make the third musketeer present, so thank you.
Now we got kicked out.
Okay, anybody else? All right,
Hearing none, closed session. We will adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851E for deliberation of or negotiation, purchase of public properties, investment of public funds, or conduct of other specific public business that for competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically regarding consideration of sale of parcel 631-014-018 and 631-014-012, as well as development agreement between the City of Cudahy and the City of Cudahy Community Development Authority and Applewood Chairs LLC for the properties as listed in the same as stated prior. We have a motion to go into closed session.
Tom Schmidt, make a motion to come out.
I will probably not read the vote.
Yeah, why don't you read it?
As well as item B, Wisconsin statutes 19.851G, court recording of legal counsel for the governmental body who is oral or written advice concerning strategies to be adopted by the body.
folks, we're still in business. Please, keep the conversations to a slow order.
And with respect to litigation, which is lesly worded, to become involved in specifically concerning code compliance enforcement involving a wastewater treatment facility conducted by GFL at 1900 College Avenue. Have a motion to go to closed session.
Motion made by Alderperson St. Rebelco, second by Alderperson Lee to go into closed session.
Roll call, Alderperson St. Rebelco? Yes. Alderperson McCarthy? Yes. Alderperson Haynes?
Yes.